And we're going to start it back up right now. All right. Why, hello.
Yes? Can I help you? He's upstairs. Go ahead.
Oh, they just let me on in. What's going on there? Are you Joffrey?
Hello there.
I'm Brother Joffrey. What do you want?
The Emperor sent me.
Do you know something about his death?
I killed him.
You'd better explain yourself. Now. You brought me the Amulet of Kings? This cannot be. Let me see it.
I should have sold it.
By the Nine. This is the Amulet of Kings. Who are you? How did you get this? What do you know of the Emperor's death? As unlikely as your story sounds, I believe you. Only the strange destiny of Uriel Septim could have brought you to me carrying the Amulet of Kings.
He did have a strange life.
The Prince of Destruction he referred to is none other than Mehrunes Dagon, one of the lords of the demonic world of Oblivion. The Emperor's words, "Close shut the jaws of Oblivion," certainly suggest that he perceived some threat from Oblivion. But all the scholars agree that the mortal world is protected from the daedra of Oblivion by magical barriers. I'm not sure. Only the Emperors truly understand the meaning behind the rituals of coronation. The Amulet of Kings is ancient. Saint Alicia herself received it from the gods. It is a holy relic of great power. When an emperor is crowned, he uses the amulet to light the dragon fires at the Temple of the One in the imperial city. With the emperor dead and no new heir crowned, the dragon fires in the temple will be dark, for the first time in centuries. It may be that the dragon fires protected us from a threat that only the emperor was aware of.
The Emperor asked me to find his
I'm
son.
one of the few who know of his existence. Many years ago, I served as captain of Uriel's bodyguard.
You were a warrior?
To his private chambers.
What?
Baby boy lay sleeping in a basket. Uriel told me to deliver him somewhere safe. He never told me anything else about the baby, but I knew it was his son. From time to time, he would ask about the child's progress. Now it seems that this illegitimate son is the heir to the Septim throne, if he yet lives. His name is Martin. He serves Akatosh in the chapel in the city of Kvatch, south of here. You must go to Kvatch and find him at once. If the enemy is aware of his existence, as seems likely, he is in terrible danger. And please, let me know if there's anything you need. My resources here are limited, but I will help in any way I can.
Alright, well, here's where the real game begins. Asking questions, the game. Amulet of
You'll be
Kings.
safest here with me. When you return with Martin, we will figure out our next move. I keep a few things here in my chest to resupply traveling blades. Help yourself to whatever you need. Your first priority now should be to find Martin and bring him back here. One of the youngest blades ever to serve in the Emperor's personal guard. I am glad to hear that he survived, but I fear he will take the Emperor's death particularly hard. The coronation of each new Emperor is sealed when he uses the Amulet of Kings to light the dragon fires in the Temple of the One. The dragon fires of Akatosh remain lit until the death of the Emperor. His successor then lights them anew upon ascending to the throne. With Emperor Uriel dead and no successor crowned, the Temple of the One will be dark for the first time in centuries.
It's interesting how these fires only stay lit when the Emperor is alive. Yeah, that music is a little much.
The Elder Council rules in the Emperor's absence by ancient tradition. Chancellor Akato heads the Elder Council and is the closest thing the Empire has to a leader right now. But the Blades answer only to the Emperor, of course. We are not an arm of the government.
So is he still a blade, I'm guessing?
He's in the chapel of Akatosh in Kavach. He never knew that he was Uriel Septim's son. You need to find him at once and bring him safely back here. The Daedra Prince of Destruction, an inveterate foe of all mortal races. He was involved with Jagar Tharn's plot against the Empire years ago. It doesn't surprise me to find his hand in the current calamity.
Yeah, son of a bitch.
Boris told you right. I am the Grand Master of the Blades. We serve the Emperor and the Septim bloodline. Talos is our patron. You wonder to find me here? Discretion is our watchword. Only a few of us have the honor to serve publicly in the Imperial Guard. Waste no time. You must find Martin before the enemy does.
Let me tell the tale of the thief of virtue in the land of Hammerfell, in the city of Such. There lived a baron who was quite wealthy. He was a noted collector of rare coins. The Baroness, Veronique, found the whole thing quite tedious. However, she did appreciate the lifestyle that the baron's wealth provided. Ravius Turnius was a noted thief. He claimed to be a master thief in the mythical guild of thieves. However, that was most like just braggadocio. The only known thieving guild was wiped out over 450 years ago. Ravius decided that the Baron should share his wealth. Specifically, he should share it with Ravius. The only wily thief crept into the Baron's castle one night, intending to do just that. The walls of the castle were noted for the height and unscalability. Ravius cleverly used an arrow of penetration to affix a rope to the top of the battlements. Once on the battlements, he had to evade the Baron's guards by hiding in the shadows of the crenellations. He was able to work his way to the keep undetected. Entering the keep was child's play for a thief of his caliber. However, a cunning lock with no less than 13 pins protected the private quarters of the Baron. Ravius broke only 9 lockpicks to open it. Using only a fork and a bit of string and a wineskin, he disabled 7 traps guarding the Baron's coin collection. Truly, Ravius was a master among thieves. With the coin safely in his grasp, Ravius began his escape, only to find the way blocked. The Baron had found the open door and was raising the guard to scour the castle. Ravius fled deep into the castle, one step ahead of the questing guards. The only way out led through the boudoir of Baroness Veronique. He entered to find the lady preparing for bed. Now it should be said at this point that Ravius was noted for his handsome looks, of course, while the Baroness was noted for her plainness. Both of these facts were immediately recognized by each of the pair. "Dost thou come to plunder my virtue?" asked the lady, all a tremble. "Nay, fair lady," Ravius said, thinking quickly. "Plunder be a harsh term to ply open such a delicate flower as your virtue. I see thou hast made off with mine husband's precious coins." Ravius looked deeply into her eyes and saw the only path by which he would escape this night with his life. It would require a double sacrifice. "Though these coins are of the rarest value, I have now found a treasure that is beyond all virtue," Ravius said smoothly. "Tell me, O beauteous one, why dost thou, husband, set 7 deadly traps around these tawdry coins, but only a simple lock upon the door of his virtuous wife?" "Ignace protects those things that are dearest to him," Veronique replied with ire. I would give all the coin in my possession to spend but a moment basking in your radiance. With that, Ravius set down the coins he had worked so hard to steal. The Baroness was swooned into his arms. When the captain of the guard asked to search her quarters, she hid Ravius most skillfully. She turned over the coins, claiming the thief dropped them where he fled out the window. With that sacrifice made, Ravius steeled himself for the second. He robbed the lady Veronica of her virtue that night. He robbed her of it several times, lasting well into the wee hours of the morning. Exhausted, he sated, he stole away in the pre-dawn hours. Most powerful mages in Tamriel were once beginners. They all set some experiences, exposure to magic, kindled an interest, and/or unlocked some latent ability, followed by the years of hard work. These intrepid souls hone their skills, learn new spells, and vigorously train their minds and bodies to become formidable figures that they were known as during their later lives. The Mages Guild of Tamriel has long been the first stop on the long road to knowledge and power for many individuals. Providing magical services to the general public, the Guild offers a wide variety of spells for purchase and is recommended as a first stop for any aspiring spellcaster. Independent dealers may be found, though their selection of spells is often not as comprehensive as that of the Mages Guild. Many spells are beyond the capabilities of beginning mages. The ability to render oneself invisible, for example, is an advanced power that is beyond the novice spellcaster. Through practice, a mage can become more skilled in a given school of magic and find himself proficient enough to begin exploring the more powerful aspects. The fledgling mage should not be daunted by his inability to wield certain powers, but should instead use this as a point of focus and drive for the bettering of himself. Rather than becoming discouraged, the student should look forward to higher levels of skill, such as the advanced techniques of absorbing spells, summoning lesser and eventually greater Daedra and undead for research purposes only, and protection against specific types of spells such as fire, frost, and shock spells. Mages wishing to specialize in a particular school of magic are encouraged to learn as many spells as possible within that school and to practice them frequently. All mages, whether specializing or nurturing an general interest, are encouraged to apply membership within the Mages Guild. Beyond services available to the general public, the accomplished guild member has access to many exclusive services, such as advanced spellcraft and enchanting. These services have been deemed potentially dangerous to the public at large and have been restricted to higher-ranked guild members in good standing by the Council of Mages. Citizens interested in further use of magic should consult their local Mages Guild Archmagister. On Morrowind. After the conquest of Hammerfell, Imperial legions massed along the northeast borders of Cyrodiil and invasion fleets in Skyrim. Initially, through the Imperial legions and navy were widely considered undefeatable. House Indoril and the Temple hierarchy proposed to resist to the death. Ridoran and Dres stood by Indoril, with Telvanni remaining neutral. Hlal proposed accommodation. Tribe border incidents in the Black March ended inconclusively, but the swampy terrain did not favor Legion and Navy coordination against the legions massed west of Silgred Tower and Kragan Moor, and the legions west of Blacklight and Cormaris View. Morrowind had pitifully small militias stiffened by small companies of Redoran mercenaries and elite units of house nobles and temple ordinators and armigers. Further complicated matters was the refusal of Indor, Dres, Hlal, and Telvanni to garrison the western borders. Indoril and Dres proposed rather than defend the western border, instead to withdraw to the interior and fight a guerrilla war, with Hlal advocating accommodation and Telvanni remaining neutral. Redoran therefore faced the prospect of standing alone against the Empire. The situation changed radically when Vivek, appeared in person in Vivek City to announce his negotiation of a treaty with Emperor Tiber Septim, reorganizing Morrowind as a province of the Empire, but guaranteeing all rights of faith and self-government. A shocked temple hierarchy, which apparently had not been consulted, greeted the announcement with awkward silence. Indoril swore that they would resist to the death with the loyal support of Dress, while Redoran, grateful for a graceful excuse to avoid facing the legions unsupported, joined the Halal in welcoming the agreement. Telvanni, seeing which way the wind blew, joined Halal and Redoran in supporting the treaty. Nothing is known of the circumstances of the personal meeting between Septim and Vivek, or where it took place, or the preliminaries which must have preceded the treaty. The public reason was to protect the identities of the agents involved. In the West, speculation is centered around the role of Zurin Arctus in brokering the agreement. In the East, rumors suggest that Vivek offered Numidium to aid in the conquest of Altimer and Somerset Isle in return for significant successions to preserve self-rule, house traditions, and religious practices in Morrowind. The High Counselor of the Ground Council and Indoril refused to accept the treaty and refused to step down. He was assassinated and replaced by Halalu. House Halalu took the opportunity to settle some old scores with House Indoril, and a number of local councils changed hands in bloody coups. More blood was shed in these inter-house struggles and against the Imperial legions during Morrowind's transition from an independent nation to a province of the Empire. Man, they really fucked over Morrowind, huh? The generals of the legions had dreaded an invasion of Morrowind. The Dunmer were widely regarded as the most dreadful and fantastic foes. Further inspired by their temple and clan traditions, the generals had not grasped the political weakness of Morrowind, which Emperor Tiber Septim recognized and exploited. At the same time, given the tragic depopulation and destruction experienced by the other provinces conquered by Septim, and the swift and efficient assimilation of Morrowind into the imperial legal system and economy, with relatively small impact on lower upper classes of Morrowind citizens. The tribunal also deserves some credit for recognizing the hopelessness of Morrowind's defense and the chance of gaining important concessions at the treaty table by being the first to offer peace. In contrast, many Indoril nobles chose to commit suicide rather than to submit to the Empire, with the result that the house was significantly weakened during the period of transition, guaranteeing that they would lose much of their influence and power to House Laulu, whose influence and power was waxing with its enthusiastic accommodation with the Empire. The temple hierarchy was more skillfully managed their loss of face, remaining aloof from political struggles and earning the goodwill of the people by concentrating on their economic, educational, and spiritual welfare. Biography of Queen Berenzia by Stage Gambage, Imperial Scribe. Late in the Second Era, a girl child, Berenzia, was born to rulers of the Kingdom of Mournhold in what is now the Imperial Province of Morrowind. She was reared in all the luxury and security befitting a royal dark elven child until she reached 5 years of age. At that time, His Excellency Tiber Septim I, the first Emperor of Tamriel, demanded that the decadent rulers of Morrowind yield to him and institute imperial reforms. Trusting to their vaunted magic, the Dark Elves impudently refused until Tiber Septim's army was on their borders. An armistice was hastily signed by the now eager Dunmer, but not before there were several battles, one of which laid waste to Mournhold, now called Alma Lexia. Little Princess Berenzia and her nurse were found among the wreckage. The Imperial General Symmachus himself, a dark elf, suggested to Tiber Septim that the child might someday be valuable, and she was therefore placed within a loyal supporter who had recently retired from the Imperial armor. Sven Edvinsson had been granted the title of Count upon his retirement. His fiefdom Darkmoor was a small town in central Skyrim. Count Sven and his wife reared the princess as their own daughter, seeing to it that she was educated appropriately, and more importantly, that the imperial virtues of obedience, discretion, loyalty, and piety were instilled in the child. In short, she was made fit to take place as a member of the now ruling class of Morrowind. The girl Berenzia grew in beauty, grace, and intelligence. She was sweet-tempered, a joy to her adoptive parents and their 5 young sons, who loved her as their elder sister. Other than her appearance, she differed from young girls of her class only in that she had a strong empathy for the woods and fields, and was wont to escape her household duties to wander there at times. Berenzia was happy and content until her 16th year, when a wicked orphan stable boy, whom she had befriended out of pity, told her he had overheard a conspiracy between her guardian Count Sven and a Redguard visitor to sell her as a concubine in Rihad, as no Nord or Breton would marry her on account of her black skin, and no dark elf would have her because of her foreign upbringing. "Whatever shall I do?" the poor girl said, weeping and trembling, for she had been brought up in innocence and trust, and it never occurred to her that her friend, the stable boy, would lie to her. The wicked boy, who was called Straw, said that she must run away if she valued her virtue, but that he would come to her as her protector. Sorrowfully, Berenzia agreed to this plan, and that very night she had disguised herself as a boy, and the pair escaped to the nearby city of Whiterun. After a few days there, they managed to get jobs as guards for a disreputable merchant caravan. The caravan was heading east by side roads in a mendacious attempt to elude the lawful trolls charged on the imperial highways. Oh, tolls, not trolls. Elude the lawful tolls charged on the imperial highways. Thus the pair eluded pursuit until they reached the city of Riften, where they ceased their travels for a time. They felt safe in Riften, close as it was to the Morrowind border, so that the dark elves were enough of a common sight. Biography of Queen Berenzia, Volume 2. The first volume of this series told the story of Berenzia's origin, heiress to the throne of Mournhold, until her father rebelled against His Excellency Tiber Septim I and brought ruin to the province of Morrowind. Thanks largely to the benevolence of the Emperor, the child Berenzia was not destroyed with her parents, but reared by the Count Sven of Darkmoor, a loyal imperial trustee. She grew up into a beautiful and pious child, trustful of her guardian's care. This trust, however, was exploited by a wicked orphan stable boy at Count Sven's estate, who, with lies and fabrications, tricked her into fleeing Darkmoor when she turned 16. After many adventures on the road, they settled in Riften, a Skyrim city near the Morrowind border. The stable boy Straw was not altogether evil. He loved Branzi in his own selfish fashion, and deception was the only way he could think of that would cement possession of her. She, of course, felt only friendship towards him, but he was hopeful that she would gradually change her mind. He wanted to buy a small farm and settle down into a comfortable marriage, but at the time his earnings were barely enough to feed and shelter them. After only a short time in Riften, Straw fell in with a bold, villainous Khajiit thief named Terrace, who proposed that they rob the Imperial Commandant's house in the central part of the city. Terrace had said that he had a client, a traitor to the Empire, who would pay well for any information they could gather there. Brenzia happened to overhear this plan and was appalled. She stole away from their rooms and walked the streets of Riften in desperation, torn between her loyalty to the Empire and her love for her friends. In the end, loyalty to the Empire prevailed over personal friendship, and she approached the commandant's house, revealed her true identity, and warned him of her friend's plan. The commandant listened to her tale, praised her courage, and assured her that no harm would come to her. He was none other than General Simachus, who had been scouring the countryside in search of her since her disappearance, and had just arrived in Riften, hot in pursuit. He took her into his custody and informed her that far from being sent away to be sold, she was to be reinstated as Queen of Mournhold as soon as she turned 18. Till that time she was to live with the Septim family in the newly built imperial city, where she would learn something of government and be presented at the imperial court. At the imperial city, Brenzia befriended the Emperor Tiber Septim during the middle years of his reign. Tiber's children, particularly his eldest son and heir, Pelagius, Pelagius came to love her as a sister. The ballads of the day praised her beauty, chastity, wit, and learning. On her 18th birthday, the entire imperial city turned out to watch her farewell procession preliminary to her return to her native land. Sorrowful as they were at her departure, all knew that she was ready for her glorious destiny as sovereign of the kingdom of Mournhold. The real Berenzia. Anonymous. Jesus. Well, let's dig in. 500 years ago in the Mournhold city of gems, there lived a blind widow, child, a tall, strapping very poorly. what was the name of the sun or the moon is? Oh, the name of the twin moons. John Jode. Huh. It's kind of fucked up. So this is the real story, and then the other one was the imperial story. Whoever conquers, writes the history, or whatever that adage is. I wonder what that shadow is. Damn, she killed her fucking wolf. That bitch gonna die. Oh, so she likes getting her nookie, but these white bitches don't let her do that. She gets mushrooms, they get gold. There he is. Symmachus is showing up again. She's dragging him along. Done. Safe and relative control time. So that's why they stopped there. Huh. Before the rule of Tiber Septim, all Tamriel was chaos. The poets of Traces called that period of continuous unrest days and nights of blood and venom. The kings were a petty lot of grasping tyrants who fought Tiber's attempts to bring order to the land. But they were as disorganized as they were dissolute, and the strong hand of Septim brought peace forcibly to Tamriel. The year was 2E896. The following year, the emperor declared the beginning of a new era and began the third era, year Aught. For 38 years, the Emperor Tiber reigned supreme. It was a lawful, pious, and glorious age when justice was known to one and all, from serf to sovereign. On Tiber's death, it reigned for an entire fortnight, as if the land of Tamriel itself was weeping. The emperor's grandson, Pelagius, came to the throne. Though his reign was short, he was as strong and resolute as his father had been, and Tamriel could have enjoyed a continuation of the Golden Age. Alas, an unknown enemy of the Septim family hired that accursed organization of cutthroats, the Dark Brotherhood, to kill the Emperor Pelagius. One, as he knelt at prayer at the temple of one in the imperial city. Pelagius' one's reign lasted less than 3 years. Pelagius had no living children, so the crown imperial passed to his first cousin, the daughter of Tiber's brother, Agnarith. Kintira, former queen of Silvernar, assumed the throne as Kintira I. Her reign was blessed with prosperity and good harvests, and she herself was an avid patroness of art, music, and dance. Kintria's son was crowned after her death, the first emperor Tamriel to use the imperial name Uriel. Uriel I was the greatest lawmaker of the Septim dynasty and a promoter of independent organizations and guilds. Under his kind but firm hand, the Fighters Guild and the Mages Guild increased in prominence throughout Tamriel. His son and successor Uriel II reigned for 18 years, from the death of Uriel I in 3E64 to Pelagius II's ascension in 3E82. Tragically, the rule of Uriel II was cursed with blights, plagues, and insurrections. The tenderness he inherited from his father did not serve Tamriel well, and little justice was done. Pelagius II inherited not only the throne from his father, but the debt from the latter's poor financial and judicial management. Pelagius dismissed all of the elder council, and allowed only those willing to pay great sums to resume their seats. He encouraged similar acts among the vassals, the kings of Tamriel, and by the end of his 17-year reign, Tamriel had returned to prosperity. His critics, however, had suggested that any advisor possessed of wisdom but not of gold had been summarily ousted by Pelagius. This may have led to some of the troubles his son Antiochus faced when he in turn became emperor. Antiochus was certainly one of the more flamboyant members of the unusually austere Septim family. He had numerous mistresses and nearly as many wives, and was renowned for the grandeur of his dress and his high good humor. Unfortunately, his reign was rife with civil war, surpassing even that of his grandfather Uriel II. The War of the Isle in 3E 110, 12 years after Antiochus assumed the throne, nearly took the province of Somerset Isle away from Tamriel. The united alliance of kings of Somerset and Antiochus only managed to defeat King Orgum of the island kingdom of Pyandia due to a freak storm. Legend credits the Sygic order of the Isle of Artaeum with the sorcery behind the tempest. The story of Kintera II, heiress to her father Antiochus's throne, is certainly one of the saddest tales in the imperial history. Her first cousin Uriel, son of Queen Potema of Solitude, accused Kintera of being a bastard, alluding to the infamous decadence of the imperial city during her father's reign. When this accusation failed to stop her coronation, Uriel brought the support of his several disgruntled kings of High Rock, Skyrim, and Morrowind, and with the Queen Potema's assistance, he coordinated 3 attacks on Septim Empire. The first attack occurred in the Illic Bay region, which separates High Rock and Hammerfell. Kintera's entourage was massacred, and the Empress taken captive. For years, Kintera II languished in an imperial prison believed to be somewhere in Glenpoint or Glenmoril, before she was slain in her cell under mysterious circumstances. The second attack was on a series of imperial garrisons along the coastal Morrowind Islands. The Empress consort Contin Arnix fell defending the forts. The third and final attack was a siege of the imperial city itself, occurring after the Elder Council had split up the army to attack western High Rock and eastern Morrowind. The weakened government had little defense against Uriel's determined aggression, and capital capitulated after only a fortnight of resistance. Uriel took the throne that same evening and proclaimed himself Uriel III, Emperor of Tamriel. The year was 3E, and began the War of the Red Diamond, described in Volume 2 of the series. Okay.
Hello.
Gotta sell a bunch of this stuff. Alright. Well, I think this is going to be probably enough for our live stream right now. Got another 8 minutes before we're at 2 hours exactly. This is a hard game to cast. Just because there's just so much reading to go through. Yeah, see, those are houses. So going to the city, and I think there should be some stores in the city. I don't want to go to the Elder Council chamber. Okay, maybe this is where I need to go. Market district sounds like somewhere where there's going to be markets.
You have my ear, citizen. Anytime now.
What is it?
What can I do for you? I do have a bed available for 20 gold a night. Would you like to rent it? Very good. It's up the stairs there, first door on your left. Sleep well. Be seen.
How do you do?
All right. $12 would be. All right. First save. All right. Go sell some stuff. know what time these stores open.
What is it?
How goes it?
Not bad.
Greetings, Nora.
Guess it's after 8.
Welcome to A Fighting Chance. I'm Rosan, proprietor. I sell the best swords in the city, and I offer advanced training for armorers. May I interest you in some of my fine wares? I offer the finest goods and lowest prices in all Cyrodiil. Thank you for your business. Goodbye.
Still not the greatest. All right. So I'm gonna do travel to this place. And then just gonna save. And we'll pick this up from where I left off on another day. Or maybe even later on today. Who knows? I may get a wild hair up my ass. I'm gonna play for another hour or two before I go to Chicago.
Come on, run while there's still time. The guard still holds the road, but it's only a matter of time before they're overwhelmed. God's blood. You don't know, do you? Deidre overran Kvatch last night. There were glowing portals outside the walls, gates to Oblivion itself. There was a huge creature, something out of a nightmare, came right over the walls, blasting fire that swarmed around it, killing. Go and see for yourself. Kvatch is a smoking ruin. We're all that's left. Do you understand me? Everyone else is dead.
Okay.
It was Savli and Matthias. Some of the other guards helped some of us escape. They cut their way out, right through the city gates. Savlian says they can hold the road. No, I don't believe him. Nothing can stop them. If you'd seen it, you'd know. I'm getting out of here before it's too late. They'll be here any minute, I'm telling you. Run when you can.
All right. And that's going to do it for us today. Yeah, we'll see you next time. And yeah, have a good one. Thanks.